Morning. As you go to the Chitas of today, holding today is Wednesday, the fourth reading in the portion of Vayechi, holding on chapter 49, verse number 1. Vayika Yaakov Labanam, Yaakov called his sons. Vayema, and he told them, Hey Asfu, gather. Vagidalachem, Asher Shayikra Asem Be'achas Hayamim, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen at the end of days. Rashi says he attempted to reveal them when Mashiach's coming, but the Shechina withdrew from him. So therefore, he began to say other things. He comes to Vishmu Yaakov, gather and listen to the sons of Yaakov. Vishimu Yaakov El Yisol Aviem, and listen to your father. Reuven Becheri Ata Reuven, you are my firstborn. You're my first strength and my first might. Yes, you should have been superior in rank and superior in power. Now she says this was his first drop, the first time that he had a relationship with his wife where he had never experienced a nocturnal mission, even though he got married in the age of closer to the age of 70. Oini means strength. I have found power, oin, because of the great might. Yes, it says, you are fit to be superior over your brothers with priesthood. You should have been the Kehanim. The expression raising of the hands, the Siyas Kapayim, yes, it says, to raise your hands. You should have raised your hands. You should have been the one who raises the hands. But yes, it is, you should also have been the strength. You should have been the Melech. Malchus should have been given to you. What caused you to lose all this? Pachas kamayim al tesa, because you were restless. You had the restlessness of water. Therefore, you shall not have superiority al tesa ki alisa mishke ve'evicha, because you ascended upon your father's couch. As chilalta yitzu Allah, then you profaned him who descends upon my bed. Now she says, Pachas kamayim, the restlessness and haste in which you hasten to display your anger, similar to water which hastens on its course. Al Tesa, you shall no longer receive all these superior positions that were fit for you. Now, what was the restlessness you exhibited? Aschilalta, that the name that descended upon my couch is Shechina, talking about God, which was accustomed to come to my bed. You mixed it up. Pachas, restless is a noun, therefore it's an accent on the first syllable. Pa. The entire word is vocalized with a patach. Yitzui, Rashi says the term denoting a bed, Yitzui, because it spreads mitziim with a mattress and a sheet. There are many similar occurrences. This word Yitzui, as it's found in Psalms, as Shimon Levi, verse 5. Shimon Levi Achim, Shimon Levi, you are brothers. Klichamis Mechereseim, stolen instruments are their weapons. Rashi says they were of one accord in the plot against Shem and against Yosef. So they said to one another, now let us kill him. Who were they said to one another? If you say there was Reuven and Yehuda, that cannot be, because they did not agree to kill him. If you say it was the sons of the maidservants, that cannot be, because the hatred towards him was not so unmitigated. They would want to kill him. As it says, he was a lad and was the sons of he was a friend of theirs. It could not have been Issachar and Zevulun, because they would not have spoken to older brothers. Thus, when it says, Vayema Ishal Achiv, one man said to his neighbor, his friend, let us kill him, it's talking about Shimon and Levi. Both of them decided to kill Yosef. Kli Chamas, the craft of murder is in their hands wrongfully. It's part of Esau's blessing. They mixed it up. It was his craft, and you, Shimon and Levi, have stolen from him. That says the term denotes weapons. In Greek, the word is similar to Machir. Another explanation, Mechir is saying the land of the dwellers in Megure is saying. They conduct themselves with implement of violence, like your dwelling place, the place where you birth. You're acting like the neighbors, and therefore, let my soul not enter their council. And you shall not join, and I don't want to join your assembly. Because the wrath they killed a man, and with their will they hamstrung a bull. Now she says, what does it tell you? What does it mean over here, Yaakov? This is about the future. Yaakov being a prophet of the future. In the story of Zimri, the tribe of Shimon gathered to bring the Midianite before Moshe Rabbeinu. It said that he was forbidden or permitted. If you say it's forbidden, who permitted you to marry Jethro's wife? So over there in that story, where the head of the tribe of Zimri was the tribe of Shimon, let my name not be mentioned in connection with that affair. Therefore, when the Torah says who Zimri was, it says Zimri, the son of Salua, the prince of the father, the house of Shimon. But it doesn't write the son of Jacob. I don't want to be part of your troubles. B'kahalam, and also when it came to Levi, in the story of Kairach, who is a tribe of Levi, Rashi says, assembled the whole congregation against Moshe and Aaron. Al techa kavedi. I don't want my name mentioned either. My name should not join them there, as it's written, Kairach, the son of Yitzhak, the son of Kas, the son of Levi. It doesn't then say the son of Yaakov, but it does not say the son of Yaakov. However, in the lineage of the son of Kairach is given regarding the platform later on in the book of Divrei Yamim. It says there, the son of Kairach, who's the son of Yitzhak, who's the son of Kas, who's the son of Levi, who's the son of Israel. So therefore, over here, Yaakov Avinu says in the story of Kairach, I don't want my name mentioned. Later on, when it talks about the lineage of the Kehanim of Kairach, then I want my name mentioned. Al techad kavedi, kaved is honor, is a masculine noun. Therefore, you must explain this passage as if Jacob is speaking to honor and saying, you, my honor, shall not be joined them. Like you shall not join. Since the word tachad included in the word in the priest of the tough, it can be either a second person masculine or a third person feminine. Since kaved is a masculine noun, the verb must be a second person. So it's like talking to his kaved. It's like talking to his honor. Kibarkim harbish. Who is he talking about? They killed a man. This is Chamer and the men of Shechem. All of them are considered no more than one man. And so the Torah is regarding to Gideon. You shall smite Midian as one man. Similar regard to Egyptians, a horse and its rider cast in the sea. This is the Midrashic interpretation, but it simply means that many men are called a man, each one individually. So each person individual is a man, even though it's a whole group. So in their wrath, Shimon and Levi killed every man with whom they angered. Similarly, he learned to attack prey and devoured man. So even though it's talking about many of them. With Tzainam Ikur Shir, who is this ox? They wanted to uproot Joseph, who is called the ox. As it said, the firstborn bull, he has majesty. Ikru comes from the old French to hamstrung. The expression similarly, you shall hamstrung your horses. Ta'ak is to uproot. Honor apam kiyaz. Cursed be their wrath, for it's mighty. Ve'avrasam ki kosher, and their anger because it's harsh. Achalkim be Yaakov. I will separate them amongst Yaakov. Va'afitzim Yisrael, I'll scatter them throughout the land of Israel. Now she says, even at the time of that, when he was rebuking them, he cursed them only with their wrath. This is an agreement behind what Bilam said, what shall I curse, which God did not curse. So over here, he only cursed, not them. He cursed their wrath. Yaakov Avinu understood how to separate between the person and their actions. What he said, therefore, the way to control their anger is I'll separate them from one another. So Levi will be numbered amongst the right, will not be numbered amongst the tribes. Hence, they will separate it. Right? We know Levi didn't have didn't have a part in the land of Israel, so they were separated throughout the whole Israel. They were given the Ari Miklat. So he divided them, he separated them. There's no limited, there's no paupers or scribes and teachers except from the tribe of Shimon. He said you're going to become teachers and scribes. So therefore, you're going to be very extremely poor. You're going to have to travel the country to make a living. So that they should not be, they should be scattered. The tribe of Levi was made to go around the threshing floor and the heaving offering of the tithes. You're going to have to also, tribe of Levi will have to live off the tithing of other people. So they have to come onto other people. So it'll cause them to be dispersed and in a respectable way. So they're going to have to be humbled. So he humbled these two tribes. Verse number 8. Yehuda ata yiducha achecha. Yehuda, as for you, your brothers will acknowledge you. Your hand will be at the nape of your enemies. And your father's sons will prostrate themselves to you. Now she says, Yehuda ata yidecha. Since he reproved the first ones, Reuben and Shimon and Levi, so with reproach, he gave them rebuke all the first three. Yehuda began to retreating backwards. He said, okay, I'm not interested in getting a rebuke. Therefore, Yaakov would not reprove him for the deed involved Tamar. So Yaakov called him with the words because he was afraid that Yaakov was going to bring up the story that happened with his daughter-in-law and ultimately his wife Tamar. So Yaakov called him with the word of appeasement. Yehuda, you are not like them. Over here, Yaakov Avinu was prophesying about David HaMelech, who would come from Yehuda. That any enemies you're giving me back of their necks. Bnei Avicha, since they were born from many wives, he did not say your mother's son, but the manner that Isaac said. He said, Bnei Avicha, your father. Your mother, which mother are we talking about? Gur Arya Yehuda. A cub and a grown lion is Yehuda. Mitera b'nei Elisa. From the prey, my son, you withdraw. Karar ravas kari. He crouched, he rests like a lion. Ukulavi, and like a lion, miyakimenu. Who will arouse him? Now she says again, he prophesies of David HaMelech, who was first like a cub. When Shaul was king over us, it was you who led Israel out of and brought them in. At the end, like he ended up like a lion when they made him a king over them. This is what Onkelos means in his translation. Yehei b'shudah shilton. He shall be a ruler in the beginning. Miteref. But what I expected you, namely, that Yosef was surely been torn up, and while Bisa devoured him. This refers to Yehuda, who was likened to a lion. Bnei Elisa, my son, you withdraw. You withdraw yourself, and you said, what is the gain if we slay your brother, our brother, and cover his blood? So here he prophesies that he knew the story. Similarly, Yehuda withdrew from killing Tamar. When he confessed, she was right. It's from me. Therefore, he crouched and lay down. This was fulfilled in the time of Solomon, when every man was under his own vine. So you lay down, a lion lay down. But when you awaken him, who will arouse him? The scepter shall not depart Yehuda, nor the students of law between his feet. At Kiyave Shila, until Shila comes, Shiach, and to him will gather people. Now she says, again, Yaakov Avinu is prophesying about David HaMelech, and therefore from David and thereafter, these who bear the scepter after termination of the kingdom are the princes of Babylon who rule over the people with a scepter, who are appointed by royal mandate. These are the students. They are the princes of the land of Israel. At Kiyavi Shila. This refers to Melech HaMashiach. The kingdom belongs to him. And so Onkelos renders it. Until the Mashiach comes, to whom the kingdom belongs. According to the Medrash Agada, Shila is a combination of the word shai loy, a gift to him. As it says, they will bring gifts to him, who is to be feared. The loy yikasamim, denoting gathering of people. The word yikasamim, part of the root. You can have in many psukim. Sometimes the yud is omitted. Many letters are subject to this rule. And the Rashi goes through all the places where the yud sometime is in the beginning of the pasuk, in the beginning of the word excessive, etc. Verse 11: Asida legefen irei, he binds his foe to a vine. L'shreika b'bnei asnai, and he binds his young donkey. Kibes beyayin levushay, he launders his garment in wine. Ubedam anovim seisei, and with the blood of grapes binds his remnant. Rashi says, over here he prophesies concerning the land of Yehuda, namely that wine will flow like a fountain from it. One Judahite man will bind one fowl to a vine and load it from one vine, and one tender he will load from one young donkey. Shireka is a long branch. Kibis bayayin, this is all expression, abundance of wine. Susay, it's a word denoting a type of a garment, and there's none like this in scripture, the word susay. Asire binds is equivalent to Eiser. Example, he lifted the pauper from the dust. Instead of make him, you who dwells Hayeshu in heaven, instead of Hayeshu, likewise his young donkey Bnei Asayne, instead of Ben Asayne, follows this pattern. Uncles however translate the verse as referring to Mashiach, that the Mashiach will bind. The vine represents Israel. Ida means Yerushalayim. Tender represents Israel, referring to such of the prophets. Yet I plant you a noble vine. Bnei Asayne, it's translated by Uncles, and it shall build his temple. Bnei is derived from the word bana, to build. Asayne is expression to entrance the gate Shad Eisan. Book of Yecheskel. The complete Targum reads as follows: He, the Mashiach, shall bring Israel around to his city. The people shall build a temple. Yonkos further translates in another manner: the vine refers to the righteous. Bnei Asayne refers to the one who upholds the Torah and the teachings of others. From the idea expressed in the verse, the rider of the white donkey. He launders with wine, Unkel's renders fine purple, shall be the Mashiach's garment, whose color resembles wine. The complete Targum reads, fine purple shall be his garments, his remnants fine wool, crimson and color clothing, and colorful clothing. The expression by the word susa, a garment a woman wears to entice a male to cast her eyes on her. Our rabbis also explain the Talmud as a term denoting enticement and drunkenness. The Gemara Ksubis, it says, and if you say about wine that it does not intoxicate, the Torah states susa, which means enticement to drunkenness. However, in the passage as follows: with the blood of grapes that entice. Verse 12. He's red-eyed from wine. The levin shinayim mechalav, and white tooth from milk. So Chalili is a Chalili expression of redness. Mechalav, due to the abundance of milk. For Yehuda's land will be good pastures for flock and sheep. This is the meaning of the verse: he shall be red-eyed from the abundance of wine, and shall be white-toothed from the abundance of milk. According to the Targum, however, Einayim denotes mountains, because from there one can see far away. According to the Targum, it says his mountains shall be red with vineyards. Targum renders also another matter, expression of fountains, the flow of vats. Targum reads further, his vats shall flow with wine. Navi means his vats. This is Aramaic, finds the tractate of Vedazara. Vats, Nava, are purged with boiling water. V'leiv and Shnaim, he renders Yechavrim Be'iksa. Then Shnaim, donating a rocky crags. According to this translation, Uncle rendered his rocky crags shall be white. Verse 13, Zvulun l'chayf yamim yishka. Zvulun will dwell on the coast of the seas. V'hu l'chayf aniyas, and he will be at the harbor of the ships. Vayarkisei al tzidain, and his boundary is tzidain. Now she says his land will be in the sea coast, borderland. He will constantly frequent the harbor of ships in the place of the port, where ships bring merchandise. For Zvulun was engaged in commerce. He was blessed that he would be successful in business and provide food for the tribe of Yisachar. And they, the tribe of Yisachar, were engaged in the study of Torah. This is what meaning of Moshe Rabbeinu says, rejoice, Zvulun, in your going forth, and Yisachar in your tents. And therefore the blessing of Yaakov and the blessing of Moshe are similar. Zvulun will go forth to engage in commerce, and Yisachar would engage in the study of Torah. The end of his boundary would near Tzidain. Means at the end is similar to Yaakov, the tabernacle. Yaakov, that means it ended with Tzidain. Tzidain, I believe, is in Lebanon. Yisachar Chamer Godim. David ben Amshathayim. Yisachar is a strong bone donkey lying between the boundaries. Now she says, a bony donkey. He bears the yoke of the Torah like a strong donkey, which is laden with heavy burden. David ben Amshathayim. Rashi says, like a donkey who travels day and night and does not lodge in a house. But when it lies down to rest, it lies between the boundaries. In the boundaries of towns where it transports merchandise. So Yisachar will be able to carry the load of Torah. Verse 15, he saw the resting place, and that was good. And the land that it was pleasant. And he bent his shoulder to bear the burdens. And became indentured laborer. Now she says, he saw the territory, his territory that was given to him, that land was good for produce fruit. And for all his brothers, the Israelites, he became Lamas Ovid, to decide for them the instructions of the Torah law and the sequence of the leap year. As it says, the sons of Yisachar, those who understood the times, to know what Israel should do, their chiefs who were 200. He, Yisachar, provided 200 heads to the Sanhedrin. Majority of the Sanhedrin came from this family, and their brethren obeyed their word. Vayet Shichmai, he lowered his shoulders, similar to he bent the heavens. Incline your ear. Uncle Tzeva rendered a different manner, and he bent his shoulders to bear wars and to conquer regions. Because they also dwelt on the border. The enemy will vanquish under him in indentured labor. Verse number 16. Dan Yadinami. Dan will avenge his people. Like one of the tribes of Israel. Over here, Yaakov Avinu was prophesying about the Shimshon Hagiber, Samson, the mighty one who will come from this tribe, will avenge his people from the Philistines, like when the Lord avenged his people. All Israel were like one with him, and he will avenge them all. Concerning Samson, he uttered this prophecy. We also explained the word Ke'echad Shifti Yisrael, like a special one of the tribes, namely David, who came from Yehuda. Verse 17, he Dan Nachash. Dan will be a serpent, Ali Derach, on the road. Shififan Ali Ruach, a viper on the path. Hanechli Ich Risus, one who bites the horse's heel. Vayipel Roch Ve'achar, so that the rider will fall backwards. So this is a snake, as I say, given an appellation because it bites. And it bites its heels. So is the habit of the snake. He, Jacob, compares done to a snake who bites the horse's heel and causes the rider to fall backwards, although it does not touch him. We find some similar in the story of Samson. Shimshon grabs the two pillars in the center, and those on the roof died. So there we see again, he prophesies what Shimshon Agiba would do. Uncle renders Nachash Kechavi Churman, a name of species of snakes whose bites have no antidote. And that is Tsifune, an adder. It's called Churman, it's called destroyer, Cherem, everything. Uncle renders Ukefun, it's like a viper, pisson. Renders lies in wait. Hashem, for your salvation I hope, O Lord. Nash says that he, Jacob, prophesies again that the Philistines would gouge out of Samson's eyes. And Samson would ultimately say, O Lord God, remember me now and strengthen me now only this once. That ultimately Samson will realize that his whole Yeshua only comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. His strength is not his personal strength. His strength is the strength of God. And that completes the Chumash for today. We go now to the 10th chapter of Tanya. So after elaborating the previous chapters in the ongoing battle between the divine and the animal soul over the mastery of the Jewish body, the Rebbe now proceeds to explain that one who vanquishes his animal soul and transforms its evil into good is a tzaddik. This level of tzaddik is comprised of two general categories: a perfect tzaddik, also called a tzaddik who knows only good, is he who transforms all of the evil of the animal soul to good. While he who has not completely eradicated and converted the evil within him is termed as an imperfect tzaddik. And a tzaddik who possesses some vestige of evil. The difference between the two sets of the descriptive terms, complete and incomplete tzaddik, and the tzaddik who knows good and knows evil, is as follows. Former set describes the degree of the tzaddik's love of God. For if this love that he yearns for him, the title tzaddik. Tzaddik is one who has only a desire for godliness. In the case of a complete tzaddik, it's complete and perfect love, while the love of an incomplete is imperfect. The latter term, the second term, tzaddik that's good to him, the tzaddik that's not good to him. That refers to the conversation of the animal soul's evil to good. The individual whom has it entirely transformed, that he doesn't have any pasha to imagine, he has no evil within him. He's a tzaddik who only knows good. Where the one whose vestige of evil remains still has within him, might be sleeping, as the Alter Rebbe says, it might be in a coma, it might be totally out, but it's still there. Is a tzaddik who knows evil. It goes without saying that evil in this context refers only to the promoting of evil that may be harbored in the heart. Promptings of evil. Chas v'shalom, no tzaddik does evil, because the second he does evil, he's a rasha. He's wicked. So it's the concept of potential. Tzaddik she'ein gomer means that he has potential. Might be never happen, can never happen, but it's still he has the potential. And maybe a harbor in his heart, not of course to actual evil expressed in thought, speech, or action. So the tzaddik, even an incomplete tzaddik, never thinks, speaks, does evil. So let's go into the Tanya itself. When a person causes the divine soul to prevail over his animal soul, wage the war against his animal soul until he banished and eradicates its evil from its abode within him, the left part of his heart. As it says, it says that the verse says you shall eradicate the evil from your midst, which implies that one ought to eradicate evil from himself, from your inside, from your essence, from your inners. The person who has the fact eradicated evil from his heart has not banished it, his heart has not only banished the external, practical impression of evil, evil thoughts, words, and actions, but has eradicated evil itself. It has no place in his heart. He no longer even desires evil. As one who achieves his goal but finds that evil has nevertheless not actually been converted into good, in which case his entire capacity for desire would now be directed only towards good and holiness, since with him this is not the case, because he still has a visage of evil. So therefore, even though he doesn't have a desire for evil, but he has within him the capacity, he has within him the capability of evil. So that's called an incomplete tzaddik, because a complete tzaddik is a tzaddik that pashit, his evil has been transformed into good. So that means he not only doesn't he have the potential, he has no potential of evil, because his evil has been transformed into good. Tzaddik v'ra'ala, and therefore he's called a tzaddik that knows evil. Meaning, meaning that he has a visage of evil still lingering within him, in the left part of his heart. Ella, except that no expression, it finds no expression. He might have evil, it has no expression, not even in the evil desire, because the evil, by reasoning of its minuteness, is subjugated and nullified to the good. And it therefore cannot even be sensed, because partially he's totally knocked it out. He's not knocked out from him, but he's knocked out, meaning he's basically asleep. Because it's bottled, it's nullified to the good. Maybe even the tzaddik might think. Maybe he might think, he may imagine that it was driven from him out and it's quite disappeared. But in truth, if the evil in him departed and disappeared, then it we converted into actual good. So this over here in the explanation, he says this requires explanation. Perhaps the incomplete tzaddik feels no desire for evil because he indeed no longer has an evil, having converted to good. Why must we say that he only imagines himself to be altogether free of evil? The Alter Rebbe then continues to clarify the term complete tzaddik. The explanation in brief, as stated in the previous chapter, a complete tzaddik is able to convert his evil to good only by the dint of this great love of God, a love that knows as the love of delight. Accordingly, an incomplete tzaddik who has not yet attained this lofty level of love has obviously not accomplished this conversion. That means that a tzaddik gomer has ava b'tainugim. That's why the Alter Rebbe is going to explain that it really depends on how much ava you have to how much that you don't have. If the tzaddik doesn't have ava b'tainugim, he has love of God, but he doesn't have the love of the light. That means that there is some ra, there's some aspect of negative within him. So the love of the light then is the ultimate concept of a tzaddik, stands via visit the eradication of evil, and that's the litmus test, so to say, how much ava you have to how much the opposite you don't have, as the Alter Rebbe explains. He and you. So to explain this concept, tzaddik gomor, what's a complete tzaddik? It means pashit that the converted the negative, the bad into the good, who consequently is called a tzaddik, who knows only good. And as I explained before, and this is attained through the removing of his filthy garments from evil. A tzaddik gomer despises utterly pleasure from the concept of pleasure of this world, finding it repugnant. That he should derive from them pleasure, the pleasure of the physical person. That tzaddik only finds pleasure even in the world of a godly nature. That's where the tzaddik finds his pleasure. A tzaddik gomer has time. That's why it's almost hard to comprehend a tzaddik gomer, because it's in essence a person who has total delight is in godliness, even as he lives in this world. That's why the expression on Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi was the wealthiest Jew in Eretz Yisrael of his time. But before he died, he said that my God is my witness that I had no enough in this world. I had not one concept of pleasure, worldly pleasure. Every pleasure I had was totally for the Eibishter, not any physical pleasure. And that's a very high level. See, wording of heaven or wording of Hebrew here, to be utterly despised, utterly from the pleasures of the world, pleasure of the world as a worldly pleasure. That the tzaddik gomer would be a person that would have pleasure for his gratification of his physical appetite, and not for the service of God. The tzaddik has no idea, he has despised for anything physical pleasure for the sake of physical desires. Totally for godly desires. Tainig HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So physical pleasures dedicated to serving God are in fact holy. For example, the pleasure of enjoying Shabbos with food and drink. Insa is not such pleasure that is repugnant to a tzaddik, but pleasure for the sake of self-indulgence. Tzaddik has no self-indulgence. Anything that he does is pashut sake of heaven, for the pleasure of God. Why doesn't he want to have pleasure from this world? The Eibishter created the world. It's a beautiful world. Because the tzaddik doesn't want to give any kind of life to something that is not godly. So therefore, every physical thing comes from Klippa. And a tzaddik gomer has no connection to Klippa whatsoever. He has no connection to something that's not Kedusha. So he despises his pleasure, for they are derived from the receiving their spiritual sustenance from Klippa and Sitrachta. And it's the opposite of holiness. So the tzaddik has nothing to do with it. Not only does it, he despises to do with it. Pasha despises him, the concept of enjoying the world for the sake of the world, not for the sake of God. And therefore, listen to as the Alter Rebbe continues, because this is, you'll understand what a tzaddik is in the Tanya. That's why once a person, before he learned Tanya, he said, I thought I was a tzaddik. And then after I learned Tanya, I wish I was a Beinani. Because you understand what Chassidus teaches or what a tzaddik is. And anything that comes from the other side, a tzaddik gomer seineh betachlas hasina. So, and the complete tzaddik utterly hates whatever sitra. He utterly hates betachlas hasina. He utterly hates it. It's something that's simply the opposite of it. It's a taiva. It's a lustful situation. Why does a tzaddik have such a hate for inyan elam hazeh, for worldly matters, for the sake of the world? And so, for one reason, machmas geidel avas el Hashem, because he loves the Eibishter. He loves God. And he loves God, not the aspect that he loves God. He loves God with a love of delight. With the great affection to God and His holiness, as I mentioned above. Chapter 9, without that I've explained that the love of delight is the ultimate level and the love of God. So to resume, because of tzaddik's great love for God and holiness, he utterly hates klip and sitra achra. So the tzaddik cannot say, I love both. Then you're not a tzaddik gomer. A tzaddik gomer only has one love. And that's the love of godliness. And that's the love of holiness. Anything else is simply the opposite of the tzaddik. And therefore, he not only has no desire, he has a hate to it, so to say. Because he despises it. It's a contradiction to his avodah. It will be a total contradiction to his service. Because in the holiness and klippa are antithetical. That's a problem. By us, they're not antithetical. We seemingly have two worlds. We are holy people, we're Jewish people, we're Torah people, and we're godly people, and we live a good life. So we think we can have both worlds. We can have both worlds, but the truth is, the tzaddik knows you can't have both worlds. Either you love the Eibishter or you love the world. And therefore, a tzaddik gomer, and therefore, there might, as it brought down, there might be 36 tzaddikim like this in the world. Right? The Eibishter makes it's brought down in Kabbalah that there are 36 tzaddikim. What tzaddik is Soidoilam. You understand what a tzaddik is? Tzaddik is not somebody who just loves the Eibishter, who does everything right. A tzaddik gomer, Pashat, doesn't have the capacity, the capability, the wanting to do anything with the world. Forget about a sin. That's why you see throughout history, tzaddikim never wanted leadership. Not Moshe Rabbeinu, not any leader throughout history wanted leadership. Why? Because ultimately, when you become a leader of the Jewish nation, you're automatically involved in the honor of Elam Hazeh. That's why when the Yidden come to Moshe Rabbeinu and they ask for meat, what does he say? Ma'ili basa. What do I have to do with meat? I'm a godly individual. I started in a mountain. I didn't eat for 40 days and 40 nights. What do I care about food? What am I involved in Gashmias? I should be involved in Ruchnias. That's my life. That's my desire. That's my true love. And the Eibishter forces him to get involved not because of himself, but for other people. That's the example, Taka, is the beautiful example of Moshe Rabbeinu. It's so true to all tzaddikim and leaders, Jewish leaders throughout. They gave away their life. Shemase nafshela. That's the expression of the Gemara. Moshe Rabbeinu is called his Torah, and so to every Torah of every great tzaddik, it's called his Torah because he was Moshe Nefesh. He gave away his life. He gave away his Gashmis. He has no desire for it. He hates it. His love of the Eibishter is more important than anything else. Because by him, the pleasures of the world is the opposite of his godly journey. As it says, The pasuk Tachlis and Isis and Esom, I hate them with a consuming hate. David HaMelech says in Tehillim, those who oppose God. If you oppose God, then I hate the Tachlis. I hate it. La'oivim hayali, they become enemies to me. If you're an enemy, if anything that's an enemy to God is an enemy to me. Because how can I have any kind of relationship with something that the Eibishter hates? They become enemies to me. Search me, he says to God, and know my heart. This means by searching me and knowing how great the love you're brought in my heart, that's the connection. I love you. Therefore, anything that's the opposite of godliness, I should hate. How many of us can say we are even that we hate the Gashmias? We hate the Gashmi. We don't have to hate Gashmi. We hate the Gashmias for the physical part of it. We love Gashmias for godliness. And that's why the Alter Rebbe says over here, this is the litmus test. And according to the abundance of love towards God, so is the extent of the hatred towards the spiritual Sitra Achra, which nurtures the physical pleasures and the utter repugnant of evil of the physical pleasures. So since Sitra Achra is a spiritual, right, and hence distant from the physical man, in terms of hatred is appropriate to it with regard to evil of physical pleasures, which are closer to man in terms of repugnant, those that are close to man is term repugnant is better. The repugnance of having something out of his place before one's very eyes. So therefore you have the two expressions of the concept of the hate and the concept of being repugnant. Because repugnancy is the opposite of love, mamish, as hatred. In any event, you have established that this tzaddik utterly despises evil. Despise of evil is predicted on his love of God to the greatest degree. He's therefore called a complete tzaddik, since his quality by virtue in which he is termed a tzaddik, meaning his love of God is on the highest and most complete level. He's also called a tzaddik who knows only good. He possesses only good. Why? Because he has transformed all evil within him to good. Hence, an incomplete tzaddik whose love of the light is imperfect must also be lacking in his hatred of evil. And that is ultimate. You can't have the concept of true Ava to the Eibishter and also have Ava to this world. You can have Ava. Don't get me wrong. The word Ava to the world doesn't mean the world. I don't have Ava to the world. I don't have Ava for the world. The purpose, the world for itself, world for its own concept. That I have Ava to the world, to the Gashmis as the concept of Gashmis. I have Ava to the Gashmis, to the Ruchnis that's in it. For the God, that's a tzaddik, a person that has Ava to the world only for the Ruchnis that's in it. And not for the Gashmis in its own. Because the Gashmis is a klippa. The Gashmis could be a klippas nagir, because not talking that he's doing something wrong. He's doing everything in this world good, but it's ultimately klippas nagir chassidus. So it's a klippa that shines, and therefore, for a regular Jew, it might be a struggle. For a tzaddik, it's no struggle. The world's no struggle to him. That's why to the tzaddik, the world is no struggle to him. He has no struggle with the world. That was the others. What tzaddik and gemurim, as the Alter Rebbe will bring down. The others from Makava, they were Torah child to the Eibishter, and everything they did was l'shem shamayim. They had no personal gain, and there was totally given over, totally 100%, not 99%, but 100% for Kedusha. And that's tzaddikim, gemurim, throughout history. But there are many tzaddikim shein and gemurim. There are many tzaddikim that are not complete tzaddikim. And they're also at a very high level, because the whole Tanya over here is a Beinani. So therefore, Alavai Beinani, I wish as a Beinani, forget about even being a tzaddik shein a gomer. And that's why we really need to understand the difference between a tzaddik shein a gomer and a Beinani. Because both of them never do an Aveda either. Machshava, Dibur, Maisi, even a Beinani doesn't do a sin, as we learned in thought, speech, and action. And that's why we're slowly coming to chapter 12, which the Alter Rebbe is going to explain what's truly a Beinani, what is truly the middle person. So first, if you understand what a tzaddik is, the difference between a tzaddik gomer, a tzaddik sheina gomer, we can ultimately come to what a Beinani is. Hence, the incomplete one who loves the light is imperfect, must be lacking in his heart of evil, and in turn indicates that he retains some vestige of evil, albeit unfelt. He's therefore called a tzaddik v'daloi, a tzaddik that has tzaddik v'daloi. He has a tzaddik who knows evil. A tzaddik gomer knows no evil. If you can imagine such a person of mamish knows no evil, he does see godliness in everything that happens in the world. That's all he sees. Today is the 15th day of the month, which in Tillim is chapter 77 and chapter 78. If you do those two chapters, you do the chitas of the day. Wish you all a great day. May Shem see you tomorrow, 8 a.m. We'll continue the chitas of the day. Have a wonderful